6:43 new this morning. Fox 23 has been following the chaos in Kabul, Afghanistan, following two deadly attacks outside the gates of the airport Thursday. That's where dozens of Afghans were killed, along with multiple U.S. service members. Joining us now is U.S. Representative Kevin Hern. Thank you so much for being with us this morning on the phone. With thousands of Americans and Afghan allies still there, what are the goals for safe return to U.S. soil?
Well, unfortunately, and first of all, my heart goes out to those families, the 13 Gold Star families that have now been brought into this world based on bad decisions yesterday. And, President Biden, he's created crisis after crisis in his first 7 months with energy crisis, border crisis, inflation crisis, and now Afghanistan crisis. And I've been very upfront yesterday in calling for him to resign. We've had classified briefings, multiple calls. He said yesterday in his press conference he knew this was going to happen. There were things like this they planned for. I hope in all of their planning they didn't plan for 13 service members to be killed and not do anything about it. We had 2,500 soldiers there on the ground protecting the entire country. Now we have 5,000, and we're having difficulty holding an airport. The intelligence briefings are showing that, you can't trust the Taliban. He said that yesterday. They've given names of our American citizens to the Taliban, which has put basically a kill list together. Democrats and Republicans alike have called for investigations. We had a call last night late with the Republican conference to call Speaker Pelosi to have us come back into session to extend this deadline indefinitely if need be till we get all Americans out. The sad part about all of this is what's going to happen over the next 3 days is what's called retrograding in the military, which is a very deadly event when we pulled the last military men and women out of the country. And President Biden said yesterday he hoped that we could get everybody out. He hoped we could. And we know there are still thousands of Americans in country, and it's really a sad day for America in the way we're leaving after 20 years.
Do you think that Tuesday deadline could still get pushed back?
Well, first of all, pressure from Congress needs to happen, but Joe Biden has arbitrarily moved this date from September 11th to August 31st. He has the power to do it. He has the ability in his leadership to do this. He has that autonomy. So we need to put force on him, put Speaker Pelosi on the spot. She has yet to speak about this. The Democrats quietly in classified briefings, they were standing side by side with Republicans, calling on the Joint Chief, calling on the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, the Director of National Intelligence, to move this date until we get everybody out. It doesn't matter if it goes beyond September 11th or not. A vast majority of the American people want to end this war in Afghanistan, but we see how deadly this place still is after 20 years.
What is the answer? I mean, a lot of people would argue that the situation in Afghanistan's been handled poorly by 4 administrations now, and it's almost like playing hot potato, and President Biden is the one stuck with the hot potato. So what is the answer?
Well, the answer, again, is you're exactly right. Since for 10 years now, Osama bin Laden, his death occurred 10 years ago. So this is time to move on. I think the American people agree. They agreed with President Trump. They agreed with President Biden in the sense that we need to get out. And for President Biden to stand up there and say that he's blaming this on President Trump because President Trump said 14 months we're going to be out and set forth some policies. The difference today is, though, and we're seeing this in Iran when Joe Biden is trying to undo President Trump's, for him to blame President Trump when he's unraveled every policy that the former president had, and somehow to blame this one on him seems a little disingenuous in the lack of leadership. And again, President Biden has the ability to move this any way he needs to move it to get Americans out. And I think when you look at the Afghanistans and the intelligence that we're seeing, the real problem is they don't fear him. And when he said yesterday that we won't forgive, we won't forget, we'll find you, it's going to be very difficult to do that without putting literally thousands of troops back into Afghanistan. So if that was the message that he was sending, the American people need to be aware of that. We have no intelligence left in that country. We do have drones that are flying over, but that we know from past experiences that's not going to allow us to find the people we need to find them. And when you look at what President Trump did to Soleimani and to al-Baghdadi, they know that he was very serious, meaning President Trump. they've not seen that kind of steadfast resolve by President Joe Biden. So it's going to be for him to approve, but he's yet to do that.
Congressman Hern, thank you so much for being with us this morning.